Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. How are you doing? Good morning, and I hope all of your Christmases were good if you celebrate it. Yeah, so today we're going to be just doing a bunch of random stuff. I'm just working through the backlog, trying to work through the backlog so that way we can get another play test going. So that's most of the effort for the next, I don't know, couple weeks probably. So yeah, we're going to be doing that. And then, sorry, one second. And then, yeah, we'll also just hang out, I suppose. Not much else to say. So I guess we'll get right into it. But before we do, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting on Steam. So definitely check that out if you're interested. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler with alchemy as the main focus. And I also have the Patreon here, which you could support the channel, support the game, support me. If you subscribe for at least 1 month at this top tier, I'll send you an Alchemortis Steam key when the game launches, so it's like a pre-purchase, and I'll also include your name in the in-game Alchemortis credits. And you can also purchase one of my Udemy courses if you're interested in learning how to build complete games in the Godot engine. These are a great way to do it, and yeah, I hope you'll check those out. You can also join the Discord, that's linked below. And what else? Like, subscribe to the video, all that good stuff. All right, let's get into it. Hello, Kenyaz. Are we necromancing it today? We are. Always necromancing it. Hello, V. Welcome. Good morning. Hello, Clickertail. Welcome back. Wooius. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you all. All right, so I have some bugs here that I want to take a look at. One such bug is this one. The sage is healing when no poison applied. I don't think that's an issue. I think, well, it is an issue, but I don't think that the sage is actually healing. I think that it's just being logged in the, it's just being logged in the combat log for some reason. So I'm going to take a look at this. Let's just throw some sage in here. Close. See what happens. We're going to fix that one. And then what was the next thing I want to do? I want to remove tiers from reagents and make tiers of reagents not applicable to min-max tier of output. So reagents currently have tiers like the normal cards, but I'm going to get rid of that because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So yeah, I'm just going to simplify that. Okay. Let's see how it's going. Sell all these things. Goodbye. Goodbye. Okay. So this sage is going to heal me for 0. So that's the problem here. I thought I was guarding against that, but it's possible that, well, let's just follow the trail of logic here. Hello, Felsefe, welcome. Good to see you. So look at the sage here. This is doing a dynamic heal. Okay. And so when this heal goes, new damage context, it's doing damage. Let's see. Right, so if I go here, heal, if amount is less than or equal to 0, return. So this is not working for some reason. Oh, wait. Okay, I think this is actually going to work. Necrosis. Okay, so here's a problem. So I have the garden here. Azir. Now the animals are going crazy. Come here, Azir. Come here. Goodness gracious. I actually have this problem in a couple of places. So I don't want to create a damage dealt entry if the damage is 0. I don't think I want to do that. I don't think that's something that I want to do. So I have this problem in a couple of places, it looks like. So I think it's just the poison and the heal here. Do you like how healing is a damage type? Damage holy is the same thing. Damage shield. See, now this one, this just does if damage context, damage amount is less than or equal to 0, then break. Why am I not doing that in here as well? Because I have the guard here. But I don't guard against creating that damage dealt entry. But I do that here. So it looks like I should probably make this consistent. Yeah, I wonder if I should just do whatever. This doesn't need to be maybe I'll make this one consistent with the rest of them. Well, let's see. Damage context. I have a guard in each of these. Damage shield, damage health, all that stuff. But I almost wonder if I should just do this for all of them. And then up in here, damage fire. Okay, I think this will work. I think that's probably the way that I want to do it. We'll do the same here. We might as well do the same there. Any damage type that damages shield, though, is a little bit weird. Because I have to first check if I'm ignoring preserve, and then damage the shield, and then I gotta do the fire damage, and then check if there's remaining damage, so yeah. I think that's probably okay. So that should work. Basically, we just want to prevent those damage dealt entries from being logged in the turn history if they're 0. So I think that will work. Let's see what happens. It would be cool if something like a reagent build was viable, having a board full of reagents and maybe a card that scales with them present on the board. Yeah, I was thinking about that, basically throwing alchemical ingredients at the enemy. I was thinking about enabling that. I don't know if I want to lean fully into that, but that would be very interesting for sure. Anyway, yeah. Hello, Lukey. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Thank you, Snutbill, for the IDR 10,000. That's always very generous. Very much appreciated. Thank you. And we have the message Yummers, as we all love to see. Welcome back. All right, let's see if this works. So that should do nothing. Yeah, so that didn't heal me at all, which is good. I may have to change Swarm again at some point, but we'll figure that out later. Yummers, yes. Okay, I'm gonna say that bug is fixed though. Gosh, I'm such a genius programmer. Look at how easily that bug was fixed because I'm so smart. Okay. Anyway. And now I can't even think of a commit message. Fix damage types logged in history when 0 magnitude. Did you finally make a Discord? I did, yes. The Discord link is in the description below, so definitely join that, Lukey, if you're interested. I know a lot of people were asking for it. It's been live for a couple months now, so we're good. All right, let's remove some tiers from some reagents. And by remove some tiers from some reagents, I mean remove tiers from all reagents. All right, so I actually need to figure out how that reagent event, reagent configuration here, reagent configuration. So for card and cards, max additional tier. Yeah, so I'm going to get rid of this. This is going to go away. All of these reagent tiers are going to go away. And we can just return this. This here, I'm going to need to get rid of this tier. Do I even need this tier anymore? Oh, but the problem is now I got to figure out what the additional tiers will do for the reagent event type. So if I look at, do I have like a tier? Seeded run map generator. Here we go. Reagent max tier 4. So the problem is, I don't really have... So each event type in the game has its own tier level, and the tier level of the event type can enhance it in some ways. I don't know, maybe each reagent event tier can offer an additional card, or offer an additional reagent. So maybe we'll do that. I wonder if that's going to break my display though. Yeah, it very well could break my display. Let me look at my reagent container. Where's the board here? Oh, I think it's designed to grow downward, it looks like. Or no. I guess we'll just have to test it. I guess we'll just have to test it. Did I change the wrong thing? Yeah. Okay. So, reagent container tier. So maybe we'll make it so that the tier, each additional tier offers an additional card. So let's do int additional card count. And then we'll just go ahead and put plus additional card count there. And then in here, we'll just pass in the tier. And then what we'll do is we will change the run map generator so that the max tier is 2. So you could get up to 2 additional cards. Well, we could do, maybe let's do 3. That sounds right to me. Okay, I think that's fine. So we'll have to test that. But now I need to edit the alchemy manager because I need to exclude the reagent tiers from the min and max tier. So input cards. So I think this will just be as simple as doing this. If I do non-reagent input cards. That should work. All right. So let's give that a shot. I'm going to go to my run manager here, populate player cards. If we have test player cards enabled, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if not card dot card definition resource dot card tags, or no, tags dot has flag card tag reagent, we're going to card dot increment tier. Let's do it a couple times. Okay, let's see what that does. Yes, yes indeed, Lukey. Very smart indeed, yeah. I was also wondering about the time you told me Godot doesn't use mono. It doesn't. It uses .NET. I think it still says mono, but I think if I'm not mistaken, I think the Godot devs moved away from mono and is using full-on .NET. I remember thinking a Discord would be great. Does that mean I cannot write or use F# libs in code? Whatever you can use with a .NET project is basically what you can use with Godot. So if using F# works with .NET, then you can use that. I don't know F#, so I don't have an answer for you, Kinyaz. I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with that. Been super busy, so I didn't realize. I will be intended next January Game Jam. Same one as half a year ago. Nice. What game jam is it? Here's an idea. A cauldron card that deals damage based on reagents surrounding it. That's a good one. .NET solos, anyway. Yeah, a cauldron that scales off of reagents. That would be interesting. I could do that for sure. Let me write that down. That's actually a good idea. Let's see. Player card ideas. Cauldron scales with reagent cards on board. It would be interesting to be able to use the reagents for combat as well. Okay, anyway. So we take a look at the alchemy here. If I put like a candle in there and then I put some flint in there. Now the turn stuff as well is a little bit weird. Yeah, we'll just remove the tiers from the reagents, I think. The turn will still contribute. So like if I add flint to this candle, it's possible that I will get a candle that has a 9 turn cooldown, because that's what the flint is. And of course I didn't get any, but you can see that these have all had a tier, they're all tier 3 output. So that's good, but let's try it again. I want to see if it randomizes the turn at all. Yeah, there we go. So I've got some candles here with 9 turns. So the turns, the turn count of the outputs is still based on the inputs. Where am I actually? Oh, min cooldown, max cooldown. Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I might change this actually. So right now what it does is it looks at the minimum cooldown of all the input cards and the maximum cooldown of all the input cards, and it chooses a random value between that range inclusive. But what I might do instead is I might just grab all of the distinct turn cooldowns. So if I've got like 5 and 7 and 9, I might just throw that into an array and then randomly choose one of those values for all the outputs. So instead of it being a range, it just takes a random cooldown value from the input cards. I think that might be interesting actually, so I might do that. maybe we'll do that in a second, but I just want to make sure that this reagent stuff works. So I put gold in there, put that with that. I fixed an issue with the gold too. The gold wasn't working. What the gold is supposed to do is the gold is supposed to... Oh, you know what? But now I have to think about that. The gold... Non-reagent input cards. This is actually wrong. This needs to be... Non-reagent input cards dot accept transmuted cards. Okay. So the gold wasn't working before. What the gold is supposed to do is the gold is supposed to basically turn into a random card under the hood, sort of invisibly when you do alchemy. So it's basically like adding a random input to your alchemy process. But I also need to exclude the gold's tier from that. So you can see that this axe now is tier 2 because the only non-reagent, non-transmuted cards in the input list was a tier 2 candle, or tier 3 candle. So the axe ended up being tier 3 as well. This is the result of the gold there. So yeah, I think this makes sense because the thing about the alchemy is I want to make it feel very flexible, but I also don't want it to have like, I don't want it to feel super, what do I want to say? I don't want it to be so, I don't want the rules of the alchemy system to be so complex that they're impossible to discern. I want to like limit the amount of randomization that can happen within the alchemy system itself so that the player can get more predictable results, even if the results are still largely random. And a lot of this is going to have to be player education as well. Like I'm going to have to make a very comprehensive interactive tutorial that shows the player how the alchemy system works. But I also still want to do that in-game encyclopedia, which will sort of explain the game mechanics in that encyclopedia. So for the people that want to get into the nitty-gritty of like, how does the turn execution order work? How do different cards work together? How does the alchemy system work exactly? I want to make that all that information available. So yeah, .NET is horrible. Just-in-time compilation and object-oriented programming, two biggest sins in programming. Hello, Mark. Welcome back. A lot of my friends use .NET too, just because it's used in industry. In reality, they hate everything C# stands for. It's free-for-all stuff, begins January. 5 people limit. Each team makes whatever, ended February, result in March. Not an itch, by the way, is Game Jolt Discord stuff. Oh, gotcha. Well, good luck with the game jam. I need to do another game jam. Is there a big game jam coming up soon? When is the Ludum Dare? Is that in April? I might do that one. Hello, Polaris. Welcome back. So I'm pretty sure that this is working now. So I removed all the tiers from the reagents, which makes sense because like things like the Death Orchid could get tiers, which, yeah, did not make a whole lot of sense. Put a skeleton there, grab some flints, put the gold here. Ooh. Very cool. Skeletal dragon. Okay. So that's good. I do want to make this one other change. So I'm going to make a note of this. Make alchemy turn cooldown randomly chosen among options inputs rather than a random. Okay, so we remove the tiers from the reagents here. I'm going to get rid of this. Oh, I do need to test right. I changed how the reagent event works, so I need to test that. Let's go ahead and do generate test map. Reagent is 12. Let's give it a shot. Hello, Pocket Pixie. Welcome back. Thanks for your tutorial Godot game. Been using it right now after getting things set up in VS Codium. Very nice. You will do all the graphics yourself? I do, yes. I do. I don't know if Ludum Dare is going to happen again. The dev behind it has been going through a lot, unemployment, and the last one almost got canceled. Well, there was one that got canceled. I assumed Ludum Dare was done, but then it came back in October, I think, of last year. Or this year. So I don't know. We'll see. I am also unemployed. More of a mainstream software developer, but I still love creating video games on the side because it relaxes. Yeah. I agree. VS Codium was my first editor. Want to stress out that it lacks Microsoft's extension that are absolutely vital for C# dev. Yeah, that's the problem. I tried to use that Z IDE as well, but it's the same problem. Like the C# extension uses OmniSharp, which is just amazingly slow, and it's just sluggish and it barely works. So I guess I'm stuck with VS Code or Visual Studio. Is there a tier 2 reagent somewhere? Can you give tips on where to start drawing from? I'm a site drawer that likes drawing realistic types of drawings, but I like to know what books can be used for tutorials. So I'm not an expert on drawing. I know how to do some pixel art, but I have been gradually working my way through this book. This book is called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. And it's basically the whole premise of the book is that anyone can become good at drawing by applying certain principles and doing certain exercises. And it's a pretty quality book, so I've been working my way through that slowly but surely. So yeah, but I don't have any other recommendations beyond that, I'm sorry. We're all unemployed in our heart. Zed is really, really good, but it's still in beta, so all LSPs are not still so well developed. Yeah, I might give it another try if the C# support gets a little bit better. I don't really have that many problems with VS Code, though. I think I like VS Code. It works well enough. In another note, how with your code review series, just wondering, are you asking if I'm going to do another one? I want to do another code review video, but yeah, I got to do more Alchemortis videos. I got to do more micro tutorials for the YouTube shorts. Yeah, I got to do that stuff. It's all right. We got 4 reagents that time. Cool. All right, I think that works. We'll just have to see if any display issues come up as a result of testing, play testing. Okay. Remove tiers from reagents and modify reagent event. So that's done. Let's change this alchemy turn cooldown stuff. So instead of doing a min and max cooldown here, what I want to do instead is create a list. So private list int turn cooldowns to randomize. And then down here, what we're going to do is turn cooldowns to randomize is equal to input cards. Select card base turn cooldown. We'll get rid of the min and max cooldowns. And then in here, what we want to do is we want to bar turn cooldown is equal to turn cooldowns to randomize, Matthew till rng.randi range. We'll do all that. And then we'll do if is legendary. Then we're going to say turn cooldown is equal to turn cooldowns to randomize.min. Okay. And then we will put this here. Okay. So that's a relatively simple change, but I think it might be better. Yeah, you're welcome. I hope it helps. I don't know. It's a relatively cheap book. I was able to get it at a used bookstore near me for like $5 or something. So you won't be set back too much if it's a bad resource. Short on time. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I don't know. What is this? Okay. Yeah, I just have a lot of other priorities. Main priority is getting this game built, and then the secondary priority is marketing the game. So yep, that's just how it goes. VS Code has nice extensions and stuff, but even though you may not notice it, it's significantly slower to Zed. When you're used to it, you don't notice, but to me, it's a pain. Also, Zed has native Vim mode. I'm not the sort of person that worries about editors, but Zed got me excited. Yeah, I think it's like I said, I'm gonna keep an eye out on it and see if it gets better for C#. What am I doing? Oh yeah, I just need to try this out. So if I add a 9 and a 6 and a 10, they all got 10. Okay, cool. 8, 10, 13. There we go. Yeah, so that's working. Cool. I think that will be a little bit nicer than what was the random range before. I think that's going to be a little bit more interesting. Okay. So change how alchemy randomizes turn cooldowns. We'll commit that, move that over. Okay, what is the next thing we need to do? We need to ensure that enemy boards have some damage. All right, let's just do that one. So we are getting back into the wave function collapse, everybody. Everybody, I said the line, wave function collapse, we're here. All right. Now I have to relearn how all this works. Private bool has damage card. Let's do this. Private static bool is damage card. So we'll get all the flattened abilities. Okay. So we're just going to store a flag whenever we place a damaging card. So now I need to modify the entropy in here. I need to modify the entropy in here to account for that. So generate board, place guaranteed cards, generate board. Iterations equals 0, get random tile data. So what I need to do for the for the first tile that's picked. What are you doing, honey? For the first tile that's picked here, it needs to basically contain only damaging stuff. Where is the tile data actually set up? Initialize tiles. So we're initializing tiles, placing guaranteed cards, we're generating the board. So in here, here's what I'll do. Get random tile data. I'm just trying to think of how I want to approach this. Do I want to put... Do I want to put... So I need to filter down the tile data to only damaging cards when it's on iteration 0. Do I even need this has damage card? Maybe I do. Okay. All right, generate board. So let's just start doing something. If iterations equals 0 and not has damage card, we are going to do this. Private void filter tile data to damaging cards. Tile data. Let's just do this. Var filtered is equal to that. If filtered.count is greater than 0, if filter.count is greater than 0, then we're going to do tiledata.possible card IDs is equal to filtered. I think that will work. Is that going to remove null as well? Yes. Okay. Filter tile data to damage cards. Tile data. Okay. Let's see if that works. What type of game is this? Is this some sort of card game? Yeah, it's a roguelite auto battler, grid inventory management auto battler. So you use all the cards to put those in your grid. And then you try to build synergies. You try to get as much DPS or as much healing or as much shielding as possible so you can outlast the enemies. And that's how it works. Marketing is the worst. Hoping I can get a publisher to handle that whenever the game is ready. Yeah, marketing is not fun. So we got field mouse, chicken, ox, friar, stein, dog 1, chicken prisoner. Yeah, I think this works. So we'll just go and scout out the combats here and see if everything works well. WFC, let's go, yeah. What do you think about entity component system? You mentioned you use C# because tooling and better OOP. I haven't really used entity component systems before, so I don't really have any thoughts on that. I can definitely see how it would be good from like an architecture standpoint, but I don't have any direct experience working with such a system. I said wave function collapse. Once the movie's over. Hope the sequel is named Wave Functions Rebuild. No, that's funny. Field mouse, sage, field mouse. Chicken prisoner. Friar torch, stein. Chicken prisoner, carrot, field mouse. Chicken potato, prayer beads. I think this is working. So basically what I did is I changed the wave function collapse system so that the first cell that is picked to place a card on has to, one of the cards that is picked has to have one of the damaging abilities. And that's either fire or shielding or not fire, or not shielding. Fire, damage, or holy. So that should hopefully, I mean, basically the thing that I'm trying to fix is that there were boards that could generate that had no damage on them. And so you were basically just guaranteed to win against them because of the necrosis and everything. Now, one way to fix that is I could make necrosis apply to both the player and the enemy, but that's just not how I've approached it. Because that's how it works in the Bazaar. If a combat goes too long in the Bazaar, then a sandstorm comes in that starts dealing damage to both boards, the player and the enemy board. And then it's just a matter of whoever outlasts the sandstorm wins. But this should be a fine solution for now, especially if I add more enemy cards, which I'm going to do that. So yeah, that should be fine. Guess it wouldn't bring much good in this game because at some point you will make a game with very many enemies. And then OOP overhead will become significant, maybe next game. Ooh, a Nautilus cup. Goodbye. Yeah, I haven't really found a need to do entity component system. I guess like I guess maybe if I was doing like a survivor style game with like hundreds of enemies at once. Maybe it was Fenwick's tree too then. I don't know about Fenwick's tree either. Oh, am I gonna die? Rip. Okay, I think that's feeling good. I probably should just generate a couple more maps and make sure that that's all good. Make sure there's no errors. I'm pretty sure it's gonna work because this is a very safe. When I filter this down here, I'm filtering it to all the possible damaging cards that can be placed at that position. And then I'm only overwriting the tile data for possible cards that can be placed at that tile if the filtered list is greater than 0. So that should prevent any issues where there ends up being no choices. And then in that case, I'll just default to not picking a damage thing. But I don't think that's going to happen because there should be a damaged card that fits no matter which tile is picked randomly. Now the other way to do it would be to sort of invert the order and to pick the card first and then find a spot on the board for the card, but that could be a little bit tricky because the enemy boards have varying sizes. A field mouse and a cat, those two things don't go together. Okay, I think that's working. Honestly, I don't need to test it too much here. Okay, ensure enemy boards have at least one damaging card. You do know Fenwick's tree, we talked about last year when we were learning data structures. I mean, I've heard the term. I remember when you talked about that, but I don't know what it is. Bunny. Wait, it's a mouse? Yeah. It is a mouse. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. So we need to add more trigger node buffs and debuffs. The new art for the grow board event. That I am working on that right now. Add mini boss node. Improvements to the combat log. Place Ox and Scarab abilities with the new composed version. Highlight necrosis text and ability descriptions. Use period punctuation for every ability description. Okay. Trigger nodes can affect checkpoints. Let's just fix that for now. Trigger configuration, get effects to apply to neighbors. So in here, if neighbor is visited or neighbor dot node event type is equal to run, what? Event type dot checkpoint. We'll skip that. Okay, that's fixed. I'm not even going to test that. Not even going to test it. Okay. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to do some of these cleanup ones here. These have been sitting in the backlog for a while, so I might just knock these out. These are going to be kind of boring, but that's all right. What type of tab is this? Yeah, Obsidian with the Kanban community plugin. Okay, replace Ox and Scarab abilities with new composed versions. Okay. This is just cleanup. This is not going to functionally change the game at all, but constant int base damage. Oh gosh. New damage. Base damage. Execution count provider. var growth value scalar. Base growth. Okay, so this needs to go into the scaling. Okay, return new ability builder, ability configuration. Abilities is equal to execution count provider, dynamic damage ability, scale for tier, description function. I actually don't. Let's see. Make a multiplier scalar. Why is this a multiplier scalar? Base growth. I'm actually not sure why this is make multiplier scalar. Well, I guess we'll just try it out. See what happens. Oh, growth scale. Oh, there's a third argument in here. Okay. That's why I was confused. Yeah, we're going to get rid of this. Ability scalars dot make damage, or no, get damage scalar. Base growth. Oh. There we go. I think that makes sense. Okay. Is this good? Is this right? Growth value scalar set additional value. Growth value scalar set additional value scaled base damage. Okay, so now I need to set up the description. Oops. Okay. Get value for source value. Okay. Execution count provider get value. Damage increases by growth value scalar get multiplier. Okay. I think that should work. So I've set it up to 5 and 2. Unfortunately, I'm just going to copy and paste this over to the scarab. I'm not going to make it generic just yet, but let's do this. And then this was 2 and 1. Okay, so now I can remove this. Damage execution growth. Cool. All right, let's test it out. We will test this out. I've been trying to move away from my old ability system gradually, so that was just part of that effort. Still have a bunch of other abilities that I need to remove as well, but one thing at a time. What happened? Uh-oh. Really? Why is this freezing? It's just stuck in this loop. What? Why is it stuck in a loop? Oh, did I accidentally change this? Why does this keep happening? Enable test player cards. Enable run map statistics. I checked the wrong box and it made the game hang. Okay, well, I don't know. I guess I'll have to look at that too. Anyway. Oh. Okay, let's just see if this works. One of my debug tools just hangs the game now. I wonder, why is that happening? I'd have to look at what that debug setting controls. Maybe it's old code that's no longer functional. So that has 7 damage now, 9 damage, 11 damage, perfect. And then the scarab should be the same. And then the scarab should be the same, and then we can move on to the next thing that we need to do on the board here. We will get through this backlog. We will get through the backlog. So 2 damage, 3 damage, 4 damage, 5 damage, 6 damage, 7, 8, 9. Cool. Okay, that is working. Very good, very good. So that's done. All right, highlight necrosis text and ability descriptions. These are going to be very boring ones, but we got to get through them. We have to get through them. Highlight necrosis text and ability descriptions. Okay, so we'll do that. We got a couple of more description things. I want to standardize like the language and all of the descriptions as well. The punctuation and grammar and whatnot. So we'll do that. And then maybe we'll do this one as well because that's in the ability realm. We do need to add more trigger node buffs and debuffs and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break. And when I come back, we'll just continue working on this. And basically, once this to-do list gets down to nothing, we'll be ready for another round of play testing. So yeah, that's why we're just got to churn through all this. Anyway, I'll be right back in 3 minutes and we will continue on. All right, I'm back. Let's do some highlighting of necrosis in ability descriptions. So I actually don't know. I might have already accomplished this, but let's see. So basically, anywhere where necrosis is mentioned in an ability description. Wait a minute. So that one, I've already got that there. Did I already do this? Oh, I may have already done that. Oh, well, there we go. I think it's already done. Goodbye. Okay, use period punctuation for every ability description. So yeah, this is just part of standardizing the punctuation of all the ability descriptions. So like I wasn't adding periods at the end of these, so I'm gonna do that. I'm also just gonna clean up anything that looks weird. Like I've got some new lines in some ability descriptions. And yeah, I just don't wanna, I wanna standardize it, make it all look the same. So let's go through this ability builder first, I suppose. So like here, deal true damage. This needs to have a period at the end of it. This one also. So anyway, it's going to be rather boring, but we just want to make sure everything looks nice and consistent. I think this one doesn't need it because this projected ability will have that punctuation. So we can skip that. There we go. Echo can remain by itself. Well, maybe not. Maybe we'll do a period there as well. Okay. So that handles all of the sort of reusable abilities, the recomposed abilities, I guess you could say. And now we just need to go through each of these cards and make sure that any custom abilities have that punctuation as well. So we're gonna get there. It's gonna be relatively quick because a lot of these don't have custom abilities. I think that's fine. Beer mug, bell. That one's good. Bishop. That one's good. Okay. Okay. We only have like 100 scripts to go through. That's fine. Cool. Is this still live? Just checking. Yeah, we're live. Why would it have changed from live to not live? Yeah, we're still live. I'm still here. Barely. I need to redraw the frog art too. Okay, we're getting there. Here we go. So here's one where we've got a new line. Now, maybe a new line would be appropriate for this because this is the Grimoire. I'm going to have to look at that, actually. Grimoire. That one is going to be an interesting one. Applies one of the following effects at random. Apply 5 fire, apply 10 preserve, apply 3 poison. Yeah, I guess that looks fine. I guess it's okay to put those each on a new line. I want to generally remove new lines from the abilities, but that one, I guess, can be an exception. Period there. I do need to actually go through and standardize all the language as well, so that the wording is always consistent. Because I want to be like, I mentioned this before, but what I like about Path of Exile, when Path of Exile has its ability descriptions, each word in the ability description, or there are keywords in the ability description that always mean the same thing because they're consistently applied. So like whenever they use the word more, for instance, so if they say, hey, this deals more damage, that always indicates a multiplier. So whenever you see the word more in an ability description in Path of Exile, you know that there's a multiplier at play. So I kind of want to do the same thing here, where if I use a word in one context, it needs to mean the same thing in all the other contexts. So that means that the ability descriptions need to all be consistent in how they're using the words. So I'm going to need to do that kind of a pass as well, but that's not what we're doing right now. Right now we're just making sure all the punctuation looks good. Goodness gracious. Why do I have so many cards in the game? I'm just gonna... Would you all be okay if I release the game and it has like 10 cards instead? Here we go. Heal. Get rid of that new line. Heal increases by each execution. Okay. I just did the Scarab, so we don't need to look at that. A lot of these are using the pre-built abilities here, so I don't really need to worry about that. Which is nice. I need to redo this Skull Staff. I don't like that ability anymore. Okay, we're getting close to being finished here. Apply preserve per allied minion. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. So we didn't really need to make that many changes actually, which is good. But, oops, we don't want to do that. Okay, standardize punctuation in ability descriptions. All right, we are shrinking this to-do list. All right, let's do something a little bit more fun. Let's add some more trigger node buffs and debuffs. So where is that? So the trigger nodes, there are like hidden nodes on the map where after the player visits them, they will buff the nodes or the events around that node that you ended up on. And so I just need more like trigger node buffs and debuffs. So we've got positive map node effects, combat currency reward, enemy card booster, reagent guaranteed death orchid map node effect. But we also have these negatives here. So let's think about this. So what other negatives can we have? So as an example, one of the negative abilities that will be applied by the Inquisition when it blesses one of these nodes is that it will reduce your max health when you visit the node. You'll take fire damage over time if it's a combat node, and hiding revealed nodes. So that means that the map will be hidden from you, from what you've discovered. So what are some other things? I mean, we could add an increased notoriety penalty. So is that an option here? Floating eye penalty map node effect. We could do one of those. So let's do a new file, increased notoriety penalty map node effect. Now this get grouped description. Oh, this is going to be a problem actually. Get grouped description. Where's this called? Okay, I might have to modify this get grouped description actually. This might need to be... Were you drinking some water? This dog is just like running around the house doing who knows what. Anyway, get group description. I might need to change this to pass in a list of base map node effects. So I actually have the list of all the effects. And then in here, what we would do is what? To list. Does that work? Group dot. What is this? Okay. I think that's fine. Cool. So now I'm going to have to edit all these, but I think this will work better. So get group description. This would be list base map node effect grouped effects. We'll just do grouped effects.count in there. But this will give me all the data I need. So if I, for instance, I'm going to create a new increased notoriety penalty map node effect, but it's going to have a configurable notoriety penalty. So if I'm grouping the description, I need to be able to add a bunch of different numbers together. That's why I'm doing this, because then I can just individually sum up all those numbers. Does C# have feature parity with GTScript now? I don't. So it has feature parity in terms of the API, the Godot API. Like you can interact with all the Godot APIs with C#, no problem. So if that's what you mean, then yes. Yeah, it's totally fine. Ah. Why does it want to do grouped effects.count -1? Anyway. Can I do this? I don't think I can. No. Okay. Okay. Almost done. Okay, so we fixed all those. So now what I can do is I can create a new file, increased notoriety penalty map node effect. We will just copy this one, paste it here. However, I am going to want to put int penalty here. Is negative effect is true. We'll get rid of this. Modify wanted level plus penalty. Increased notoriety penalty map node effect penalty. And then here, since we have these grouped effects now, we're going to do grouped effects dot of type increase notoriety penalty map node effect dot sum x dot penalty oh, I can't do that. Public int penalty. Okay, and then here we can just do oops, not occurrences. Well, I guess occurrences. This would be penalty sum. So that's the reason why I made that change. So now I can create this increased notoriety penalty map node effect negative with whatever penalty I want on it. And then when it gets grouped in the description, it will just sum up all those penalties together. Hello, Neozoid. Welcome back. So the whole reason I did that trigger configuration is now because I can do this. Negative map node effects table dot add item new increased notoriety penalty map node effect 3. And that's it. So we've added a new negative. What's another negative that we could have? Let me think. We could do like a start combat with half health or something. Reduced health map node effect. This one is going to be a little bit tricky. I actually don't know how I'm going to implement this, but combat reduced health map node effect. Get description. Start combat with half health. We don't need this. So we're going to figure out how to do this. I actually don't know. Get rid of this amount. Event type filters, event type.combat. That's fine. Get rid of this. Okay. I'll go ahead and add that to the trigger configuration here. Negative.add item combat reduced health map node effect. So now we got to figure out how to actually make that work. State combat preparation. Hello, Nick. Welcome back. Good to see you again. I was just going to say health penalties come to mind. Maybe the board shows it as you walking through thorns or something. That would be cool. Is it tricky because you need to reset the health at the beginning of each encounter? Or do you already retain health between encounters? Yeah, the way that it works is that you always heal to full after every combat encounter. So I think what it's just a matter of doing is when I enter the combat, just immediately deal like, or just set the player's health to half. And then we could do, yeah, some kind of visual to indicate that, but I think that's all I need to do. I just need to set the player's health to half at the right point, like when combat is entered. I'm trying to debate, like, do I want to have it deal 50% damage to you when you start the combat, or when you're in sort of like the combat preparation phase where you're getting your board together? Should it show the player that they already have half health? I'm trying to think of like what would be more appropriate. I think one of the problems that would happen with just reducing the player's health by 50% as soon as you start the combat is, number one, that could be a surprise. The player could be like, wait, why the heck is this happening? And number two, I'd have to figure out a way to get that into the combat log appropriately. So it says like, hey, you took half health damage because of a map node effect that was active. So what I could do is just in here, just make that health half here, just to start. And then I can avoid the combat log issue, and also it won't surprise the player. I think that's what I'm going to do. But the other tricky thing too is I don't think I want... Well, I was going to say if the player died and resurrected. Yeah, if the player dies and resurrects, I think probably won't reduce the health again. So I need to handle that case as well. But yeah, good morning to you as well, Nick. Well, I guess what we'll do first is we'll just get it working, and then we'll see. So state combat preparation. Yeah, that's a lot of tricky things to consider, yeah. The game is getting too complex. State combat preparation. Can I just do this in here? So let's see. Health component dot set. Do I want to do like a set current health? let's say current health is equal to health. Okay. So I do that, and then in here, set current health, player board dot health component dot max health divided by 2. We'll do mathf dot seal. So this is not accounting for that map node effect being present, but I just want to see if that works to begin with. What about having a card being disabled for 1 round instead? Yeah, I can do that. I mean, that would be, I think I would make that another negative map node effect, just like exhaust one of your cards when the combat starts. That's a good one. Let me write that down. Do I not have... Do I not have trigger node ideas? Okay. Trigger nodes. Exhaust player card on combat start. The other thing is I'm going to need to find a way to display all this information while you're in the combat screen as well. Okay. Anyway. If I go into this combat, let's see what happens. Yeah, it's set to half health. So if I die now and I resurrect, I don't think it's going to reset the health. Oh, it did reset the health. Oh, just put the health back down to half. Okay. Do I want that to happen after resurrection or not? Probably don't. I probably just want to have it happen one time. Yeah, I probably just want to have it happen one time at the beginning. So I guess what I would do, well, I do need to check in here. Anyway, if map node effects manager dot has map node effect of type, combat reduced map node health effect, current run map node. Then what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the player health by half. And then we're also going to have to do this map node effects manager dot remove. Let's so I have this remove first map node effect of type, but let's do public static void remove all map node effects of type. Context that remove all X map node cleanup node context. Okay, that works. So remove all map node effects of type. Combat reduced max health map node effect, current run map node. So what this will do is it will check if that node has that negative applied first, and then it will reduce the player health at the state combat preparation, and then it will remove that map node effect from the node. So that way when we loop back to this after resurrection, that's no longer applicable. What type of game is this? I already answered that, Pocket Pixie, earlier when you asked, but if you want a detailed look, you can check out the Steam page, which is linked in the description below. So I think this will work. Now it's just a matter of testing it. So let's go to project, not project. Trigger configuration. We'll get rid of this. So there's only one negative to choose from. And then I need to go to my seeded run. Is this RNG not being used? Why does this say? Oh, I see. Seeded run. Generate trigger nodes. 100 to 200. So now we can test this out. Hello, RN Genesis. Welcome. Good morning. Good to see you. Okay, so I'm going to try this out now. If I go into this one, I should be fine. I should have full health. I'll just go ahead and put an ox there. And then if I go into the next combat, it should be blessed. The Inquisition blesses some locations. Blood reward increased by 5. Start combat with half health. So I go here. That should set me up at half health, which works. And then if I just kill myself, oh, YouTube is going to flag that. And I resurrect, I should retain my 42 health now. So it just starts the combat with half health, but you do have an opportunity to resurrect with more than half. Am I going to lose? I lost anyway. Cool. All right, but I think that works. I think that's good. So that will work for now. Cool. We'll put all these back. Increase notoriety, map node effect. I do need to update the tooltips as well. Actually, you know what I should have done? I should keep this. I do need to update the tooltips for the map node hovering. I'm going to try to give it a little bit nicer of a visual treatment so you can know like when a node has been buffed. Or debuffed. So if I go here, for instance, so there's that. So yeah, those negatives and positives are just like kind of thrown as text at the end there. I think, yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach to that. We'll do something more like these tooltips here where they've got nice icons and stuff and they're very obvious. I might even move them to the top instead of at the bottom. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that, but definitely some work to do there. Reduces your maximum health by 5. So if I go in here, yeah, 45, look at that. Cool. All right, so that's good. Let's do the one that Nick suggested, which is exhausting a card when combat starts. So I want to stage all of these except for the seeded run. Oh, and then I've oh shoot. Okay, I don't want to have the seeded run. Okay, so we'll commit that. So we're going to do one now, a negative, which will exhaust one of your cards when combat starts. So, well, first we need to make that debuff. So let's do a new map node effect, exhaust card on combat start, map node effect. I'll just copy this one. Okay. How do I want to word this? One allied card will be exhausted when combat starts. And I'm probably going to want to also do this. Exhausted. This, maybe we'll just do grouped effects. Grouped effects.count. Let's just do this. Var prefix is equal to count is greater than 1. We will do this. Count allied cards. Okay, that's fine. This event type combat filter, very good. All right, so now we need to make that actually work. So I think what I'll do is in my turn manager here, when we call start, artifact manager on combat started. So I think what I'll do is context helper create artifact context. Just trying to think of how I actually want to do this. I probably will want to create this public virtual void on combat started. I'm trying to think if I want to pass in like an execution context object or not. Do I want to do that? I'm thinking, I don't know why this is async. I might have to redo that, but emit signal encounter began. So I think what I want to do is I want to do map node effects manager dot on. So we'll do on combat started in here. Public static void on combat started. I guess what I'll do is I'll pass in an execution context here. Although that doesn't, no, that's not going to be good. Let me look at my artifact manager. I have an artifact context here. Base artifact on combat started. Because I have some artifacts that work based on, yeah, on combat started. So we've got the artifact context here. Oh, I'm just getting the board manager from the context helper. Oh, I see. Scene tree root. Is that really the only reason I'm using that scene tree root? So instance get tree.root. So if I just do this instead, we'll clean all this up. Context helper dot, oh wait, board manager is, what the heck? Why is this private? I don't know. Who knows what I was thinking? We're going to refactor this real quick. I guess I can do this a little bit nicer. Scene tree root, get board manager. Let's replace this with board manager. Replace all. Okay. Just remove all these usings here real quick. Oops, I guess I didn't do it right. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, in on combat started here, I guess what I'll do is I'll just make this an empty method, and then exhaust card on combat started. We'll do public override void on combat started. We're going to do this. Var player board is equal to context helper dot board manager dot get player board. Player board is equal to null or return. Okay, so we're going to do var random card is equal to player board or inventory component dot get cards on board. Well, let's do this. Var cards, if cards dot length is equal to 0, return. Var random card is equal to cards mathutil dot rng dot rand I range 0 to cards dot length -1. Random card dot buff container dot add buff new exhausted debuff. Oh, we also need to filter this. So get cards on board dot where x dot not x dot buff container dot has permanent turn disabling debuff. To list. I think that's right. Exhausted debuff can expire as false and can execute turn is equal to false. Right, okay. So we don't want to apply, if there's multiple of these exhaust card on combat start, we want that to stack nicely. So we're going to get all the cards on the player board which do not have a permanent turn disabling debuff like exhaust, and then we're going to choose a random card on the board and we're going to add that exhausted debuff. So this will be called for every instance of exhaust card on combat start. And I think that should be fine. So now I think it's just a matter of going to the turn manager here and do on combat started. I didn't finish this. Okay, context instance map node effects values for each of our context and context map node effect on combat started. Okay, that should work. So we're gonna do map node effects first, then the artifact manager, and then we start everything. Okay, and now turn our trigger node configuration. Negative map node effects table dot add item exhaust card on combat started map node effect. Let's get rid of all these other ones. And we'll go ahead and test it now. Good morning. Have you considered using a framework like Monogame instead of Godot? Wouldn't it give you more control over your games? I've recently become interested in frameworks and I would love your opinion. So the reason why I don't use frameworks, I'm the kind of person where I want to get as far away from like custom engine stuff as possible. And frameworks are a little bit too far in the direction of making your own engine for me to be comfortable. I'm the kind of person where like I'm trying to like actually build a game and not build the tooling to build the game. And so I want as much out of the box functionality as possible, up to and including like a bunch of rich APIs and a physics system and all that stuff. So that's just how I am. I mean, I've always been that way. Even when I was working as a professional software engineer, my job was basically find all the NPM packages that do what we needed to do and stitch them together. You know, like I don't really like I don't like reinventing the wheel. Even though I know that gives you a lot of controls, I would rather work within the constraints of an engine and have all of this functionality available to me with some maybe limiting downsides than have a game framework which is basically just like wide open green field where you have like you have a lot of room to you have a lot of control, but you also have a lot of room to go off on tangents and build a bunch of stuff and introduce a bunch of bugs. I would rather work with a very rich system that has a lot of built-in functionality, even when that comes with limitations, than go the other way with more flexibility but fewer like out-of-the-box features. Mostly use Raylib for graphics when making things like simulations and minigames for uni homework or for fun. I'm also interested to learn WGPU, but yeah, I don't see a reason why anyone would use anything other than Godot for games. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, people all have their reasons. I want to just get to building as quickly as possible, and so that just means I want a set of tools that have as much ready for me to use as possible. Hello, Royal Mun Jask. Jask, how you doing? Welcome. Good to see you. I'd rather be inside Godot chains than to be free, yeah. Especially any games that you need to just get work done. Yeah, and the other thing too is like I can't even imagine a kind of game that I would make where I would need the flexibility of like a huge, or not a huge, but like need the flexibility of a more of like a game framework. I'm making like little tiny 2D games, and it's like there's nothing groundbreaking here, you know. Like I might as well just use the tool that is going to give me everything that I need and just work within the limitations there. But like, I mean, what would I gain from using like a game framework for Alchemortis? I would basically gain nothing, right? Notch is making his new game engine in WGPU. What is going on with that dude? Has he made any other games except for Minecraft? Who knows? Anyway. He's making one right now. Yeah, I knew that, but it's also been like, what, 10 years, 12 years? Anyway. We were going to try this. Okay, so I need to ironically, he said that game developers that don't make their own game engine should not call themselves game developers. He made that weird board game after Minecraft. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Everyone has their opinions. Everyone has their opinions. I'm fine not being called a game developer. You don't have to call me a game developer if I'm using an engine, but all that matters at the end of the day is, can I sell some stuff on Steam? If you don't want to call me a game developer, that's totally fine. All right. Let's get through this one. And then this should bless some locations. Perfect. One allied card will be exhausted when combat starts. Oh no, I got exhausted. Bricked the build. What I want to do is see if this resets. So if I resurrect now. It does work. Okay, cool. So that one works. What I do want to do is... combat exhaust. Where is that? Here. This needs to have 4 of these. Then also... Is this not used? Where's the tooltip? What? Get grouped map node effect. Oh, here. Grouped descriptions, group string. This is a rich text level, so I can do description utils.highlight keywords. Group string. Okay, I want to test and see if this works. Not exactly a board game. Notch is an old gen, let him alone. Yeah. It's okay. We will forgive our programming elders. That's the thing about like software engineering and like anything like at least technical in the software world, but I'm sure it's probably true across the sort of engineering world more broadly, but it's just, yeah, there are people that are very, very highly opinionated, and you just kind of have to let them be opinionated. I've worked with people like that, you know, like senior engineers, whoever, where they just like insist that you have to do it their way because it's the best way, and they'll get into like a 4-hour argument with you about why this way is the best, and it's like, I don't have time for that. I'll just do it your way. I'll just do it your way. I don't care, man. I don't need to have a 4-hour conversation on whether early returns are appropriate in methods or not. Okay, I think that's working. I mean, I kind of forgot to check the tooltip, but I'm pretty sure it's working. He's rage baiting, yeah. Thanks for replying. Frameworks mix 2 areas I find interesting: game and software development. I'm just starting, but I hope to be able to use one someday. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely understand the appeal of using a framework, especially if you're more interested in like building actual like the software systems and whatnot. Okay, here we go. One allied card will be exhausted when combat starts. Cool. All right, so that is definitely working. Very nice, very nice. Awesome. Thank you again, Nick, for the suggestion. That was a good one. I need to add more positives as well, but I think that's good for now. So add card exhausted, debuff. Okay. It's very ironic because by all means his method sucked for the time. Imagine using just-in-time compiled language to build a game engine that relies on system APIs. Even today, all programmers use CPP or C++ or Rust. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about building game engines, so like I said, I just use the tools that are available to me. Oh, shoot. This needs to be removed. And I also accidentally committed this as well. Don't want that to be the case. All right. Not a systems API, but graphics API. Gotcha. Anyway, that's going to be it for the stream today. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Again, you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. It's available in the first line in the description below. You can also join the Discord if you want to come and hang out. I will probably be streaming again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, so I hope to see you there. And yeah, check out my courses as well. That's a great way to support me. You can support me on Patreon, but of course you can support me by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, watching the VODs, all that good stuff. So thanks again, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.